All right, so we've talked about all of this, like what is the inner critic, what is the negative self-talk, and so let's explore how do you start to reframe your thinking and your relationship with the inner critic. The key components of reframing our thinking are awareness of our thoughts. And when we are aware, it helps us better understand and manage the inner critic. We have to clear the clutter. So our inner critic it thrives in chaos. And so when there's chaos, when there's clutter in our heads, in our hearts, then the inner critic is happy and it's doing its thing. It's ready to just keep you confused and keep you from doing the things that you want and showing up as your absolute best self and letting go the things that don't serve you any longer, the conversations, the thoughts, the negative thoughts, and so forth. And we have to connect with compassion, connecting to ourselves with compassion. And it's not about other people in this moment, right? We're taught to be compassionate to other people, to be kind to other people, to love on other people. We are not taught the value of doing that with and for ourselves. So let's go a little further with that. When we think about the thought awareness, when we look at thought awareness, it's important to remember that our thoughts are how we communicate with ourselves, right? And so we have bazillions of thoughts a day, right? And if you're not aware of what you're thinking, if you don't take time to just acknowledge, like, oh, I just had a thought that I am not capable of A, B, and C. And is that true, right? Does that feel good to me? How does that feel in my body when I have these negative thoughts about myself? And the thing is, it's not about being aware of the thoughts in a way that then we judge it, right? Because that would be the tendency, like, oh, I noticed I just had this negative thought about myself. And so why would I do that? And you're so negative and you just like, you're so mean to yourself. No, we don't want to do that. It's just like a compassionate awareness, like, oh, I just had that thought. Okay, it's not nice. And how can I reframe that? Maybe if I'm saying to myself, I'm not capable, then I turn that into an affirmation that says, you know what, I am capable of doing anything that I put my mind to. When we notice the negative thought, what can I say to myself to counter what's coming up? And it's important to think about what we say to ourselves. And maybe some of you have heard this acronym of think, right? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it nice? Or is it necessary? I'm sorry. And is it kind? And when we look at our thoughts in that way, is it true that I'm not capable? Absolutely not. Is it helpful for me to think that about myself? Nope. Is it inspiring? No. So what kind of thought can I create to counter that does feel inspiring, that does feel helpful, that does feel true? And is it necessary? No, it's not necessary for me to tell myself that I'm not capable. And is it kind? Nope, didn't feel kind. And so how can I move forward with that, right? And I always tell my clients to think about, is it hard or is it challenging? So often we will say that something is hard, right? But if you think about it, if you really think about it, when we say that something is hard, it's rare that we want to do it. We don't want to do anything that's hard, but we're willing to try things that are challenging, right? And it's just changing your mindset and saying, you know what? I hear myself telling myself it's going to be hard for me to do this thing. It's going to be hard for me to pivot in my career. It's going to be hard for me to get a job, considering my age. It's going to be hard for me to start over after all of these years. But is it hard? Maybe. Maybe it's just challenging. Maybe it's going to be a challenge and I'm up for the challenge because I can do anything that I put my mind to. What would happen if you chose a new narrative? And I will say that it doesn't feel natural to begin with, right? If we're used to having these negative conversations with ourselves, it doesn't feel natural to just automatically be like, oh, you know what? I'm great. I can do anything. But we have to do the work to create that space for ourselves. And I say work, and often that feels like heavy to people. I don't want to work. I don't want to do more work. That feels like it's going to be like so difficult, right? But what if you changed it? So many years ago, instead of saying that I was doing the work, I decided to start saying that I was dancing. And it felt so much different in my body. I'm not doing work on myself. I am dancing my way through this life. I am dancing to the beat of my own drummer. I am wearing my rainbow colored tutu as a big grown woman. And who's going to say anything about it? I am showing up for my life. And what does it look and feel like to do that?